Alright, Ronin MMA, welcome back to the channel. Now it is the Monday following UFC 300 and I am still unbelievably amped up from this event. Now I did do an immediate reaction slash recap live stream on Sunday morning, but I did want to do a formal recap video because there were a lot of guys that we didn't even get to talk about because so much crazy stuff happened, and I just want to make sure that some of the guys lower down the card get the praise that they deserve. So we're going to start with the very first fight of the night and work our way up as usual. Let us get to that right away with the first fight of the night, which is Deiveson Figueiredo versus Cody Garbrandt. Now, Cody Garbrandt actually looked really good in this fight. I did pick Deiveson Figueiredo, and I did pick Deiveson Figueiredo to get the job done by submission, though I did think he would hurt Cody Garbrandt on the feet before he did that. That wasn't really the case. He could not seem to get Cody Garbrandt's timing down. Cody Garbrandt was significantly faster than Deiveson Figueiredo, and I kind of knew that going in, but I thought the speed gap might be closer than it was, since Figueiredo was coming up from flyweight, but that was not the case. Cody Garbrandt looked really good on the feet, didn't seem to get hurt a whole lot, but Deiveson Figueiredo, credit to him, was able to switch up game plans, started to grapple, and Cody Garbrandt, again, credit to him, was able to defend for a significant period of time, but eventually could not do it any longer, and Deiveson Figueiredo locks in the choke and, you know, strangles Cody Garbrandt. He is forced to tap almost immediately. That last choke that he finally got him with was unbelievably tight. Great win for Deiveson Figueiredo. He is a very fun addition to the bantamweight division, and I'm excited to see him moving forward. And honestly, dude, it's hard not to feel bad for Cody Garbrandt at this point in time. All the knocks usually about him are on his chin, and then he goes out there, he looks really good, and he ends up getting submitted. Unfortunate overall, but, you know, great win for Deiveson Figueiredo. Now let's move up the card to Bobby Green versus Jim Miller. Now this was a crazy fight. I thought it was going to be a lot closer. I thought Jim Miller would implement wrestling, perhaps some grappling, right? I thought he might be shooting takedowns rather than just trying to stand on the feet with Bobby Green. And when you look at the total strike numbers, it's fucking insane. 187, very fitting for a guy like Bobby Green, to 58 total strikes. Now, Jim Miller did hurt Bobby Green at one point, so maybe Bobby Green's chin wasn't completely and totally healed from that Jalen Turner knockout, but Bobby Green overall, phenomenal performance, just looked fantastic. Very good head movement. His unbelievably fast, much like the fight before us, there was a massive discrepancy in speed, but it's not just speed, it's the timing of Bobby Green. It's the weird angles that he throws his punches from, and I do like the Paddy Pimblett call out, and I hope that they do give him that fight, because I think that if Paddy Pimblett is arrogant enough to try to stand with Bobby Green, he will probably get pieced up. Do you know what I mean? Because Bobby Green's boxing is, you know, compared to a lot of these guys, it might not be perfectly fundamentally sound. His defense might be lacking, but offensively speaking, he is pretty goddamn good. Okay, so great performance by Bobby Green. It was unfortunate for Jim Miller. Obviously got the absolute shit beaten out of him. Would have been fantastic if he was able to get himself a win on UFC 100, 200, and 300. Crazy that he's even still going with guys at this level, so credit to both these boys. Moving up the card to Jessica Andrade versus Marina Rodriguez. I picked Andrade to get the job done in this one, and it was a split decision, though I did think it was pretty clear that Andrade got at least 2 of those rounds. She was doing a lot more damage than Marina Rodriguez, but I'll be honest, dude, this fight made me very irritated at women's MMA, and I hate to say that as constantly as I do, but holy, dude, I said this with Erin Blanchfield and Manon Fiorot. The fact that those were 2 and 3 in the world, and they had a fight that looked the way that it did, was almost sad, okay? And then we have Jessica Andrade here, who is ranked number 4 at strawweight and probably ranked at flyweight as well, and doesn't know how to cut off her opponent. Do you know what I mean? Marina Rodriguez is just circling to her right, and Jessica Andrade is just following her like a dog on a leash, getting you know, pieced up essentially the entire time, and then is eventually able to close the gap, kind of make it a dirty fight, and hurt Marina Rodriguez because the power difference was vast. But it was hard watching Jessica Andrade just completely and totally follow her while walking into shots, not knowing how to cut off her opponent when she's ranked number 4 in the world. Okay? Crazy. Now, if Marina Rodriguez was able to sit down on her punches a little bit more, maybe add a little bit more steam on those shots, maybe she could have gotten the job done, because there was, you know, there were quite a few openings where she was able to tag Jessica Andrade, but ultimately Andrade did the more damage in more of the rounds and got the decision for it. So good performance, I guess, by Jessica Andrade. Moving up the card to Jalen Turner versus Renato Moicano. Jesus Christ, Jalen Turner. Completely and totally fumbled the fucking bag here. Unbelievable. Hurts Hanato Moicano in like the first strike or two that he throws with kicks to the body. You can tell it seriously bothers Hanato Moicano, and it did remind me a little bit, not that it was with the same weapon, but Jose Aldo was able to hurt Hanato Moicano to the body as well. Jalen Turner, you know, rushes forward, is unable to land another shot to the body or able to capitalize on that moment. Hanato Moicano uses his grappling as we are used to seeing from him now. Gets a takedown in the first, obviously. Some control time and what have you. And then in the second round, dude, I think it was this, Jalen Turner drops him badly. It might have been in the first round, too. I'm not even remembering now. Knockdown. So let's take a look. In round number 1. After hurting him to the body, he gets that crazy knockdown and just tries to a walk-off. Maybe the 300K bonuses clouded Jalen Turner's judgment and he thought he could get a cool walk-off KO. Who fucking knows? But Hanato Moicano, being the savage that he is able to recover from that. And then in the second round goes on to absolutely fucking dominate. Look at the total strike numbers there, 55-7. Unbelievable, dude. What a comeback from Hanato Moicano, honestly. It just showed his toughness. You know, it's on display almost every fight, but absolute savage, dude. And then once he gets you down, Jalen Turner is a guy who, while he got taken down and controlled by Mateusz Gamrot was able to mount almost no fucking offense whatsoever against Jalen Turner. Like, that fight ended up being a split decision because Jalen Turner was still doing more damage in the rounds. Even the rounds that Mateusz Gamrot was able to take him down and control him, Hanato Moicano, not the fucking case. This guy just completely and totally smothered Jalen Turner. His control is insane on the ground. And then battered him, right, until he got himself a TKO. Good on Hanato Moicano. I did pick Jalen Turner to win this fight, but I did say I wanted Hanato Moicano to win for that mic time, dude, and he did not disappoint, as usual. Now let us move up the card to Sodiq Yusuff versus Diego fucking Lopes, dude. I picked Diego Lopes, and you can see why, dude, okay? Unbelievable, this kid. Holy fuck. I did a video somewhat towards the end of last year before his last knockout, and I said that this guy's a dark horse in the featherweight division, and I could honestly see him being, if not champion, like fighting for a championship come the end of 2024, and we might fucking see that, dude. I love that he called out Movsar Evloev, because I, for one, thought that he won that fight, okay, based on submission attempts, and we're going to get to a fight like that later, based on submission attempts, and the fact that Movsar Evloev did absolutely nothing, and control time is not supposed to matter when you have people going for submissions, when you have people doing actual damage in the fight as well. But Diego Lopes comes out here just like a fucking bat out of hell instantly, dude. Hurts Sodiq Yusuff almost immediately. That uppercut from the clinch is absolutely nasty, very tight, very crisp, and clearly very powerful. Diego Lopes is a big dude for 145, do you know what I mean? But he seems to be able to make the weight, and he rehydrates quite nicely and does a fucking phenomenal job when he gets in the cage. And it seems as though, aside from that Movsar fight, which he took on unbelievably short notice, the more he climbs the ranks, the easier the fights are getting, which is just wild. Do you know what I mean? It's wild to see a kid do that. So I hope they give him that Movsar fight. If not that, I think that a Brian Ortega matchup would be unbelievably fun as well. Now, obviously, one of these guys are going to have to say yes to giving a dude ranked way below them an opportunity. But I think that Movsar rematch, he deserves it, because I thought he won the fight, obviously. Very short notice, he took that fight. Movsar just eked it out, okay? And then he goes and does what he does in his next 3 fights, and it's just unbelievable. He is a godsend for featherweight right now. Unbelievably exciting, and, you know, I think has a decent chance against some of the older dudes, or the dudes from, you know, our previous generation here at the top of the division. So, holy God, good performance by Diego Lopes. Moving up the card to Holly Holm versus Kayla Harrison. Obviously, pick Kayla Harrison here. Now, I said in my picks video that when people think of Holly Holm, right, we play her highlight reel, and it's like head kicks and shit like this, right? Those are all from so fucking long ago. While she is a Hall of Fame boxer, okay, in recent years, I'd say maybe over the last 4 or 5 years, she uses very little at-range striking. Her new shtick is, I'm pinning you up against the cage and doing fucking nothing, and that's that. Do you know what I mean? Like, she hardly ever strikes at range anymore, and I don't know if it's because with age and the fact that she got knocked out by Amanda Nunes and like hurt a couple times by Germaine de Randamie, maybe she thought I should switch up my style a bit so it's safer and better for my longevity, better for my long-term health and what have you. But I thought for sure we would see it switch here against Kayla Harrison. I thought for sure we would see Holly Holm at the very least try to get back to what she used to do at range striking, where we see her get these crazy head kicks. She does the oblique kicks. She does the lead leg side kicks. Good boxing and shit like that. But no. What does she do against a 2-time gold medalist Olympic fucking judoka? She tries to clinch her. Do you know what I mean? Insane to me. I couldn't fucking believe it. I was like, what are you doing? And then she immediately gets thrown. Now, she did get that one reversal, and Kayla Harrison gave her credit for it, but then, you know, didn't last very long, did it? Kayla Harrison completely and totally fucking dominated this fight, and good on her, dude. I hope that they give her Raquel Pennington as quickly as they possibly can, because I've said this also in the past, and people can get mad at all the fuck they want. The fact that Raquel Pennington is a champion in the UFC is honestly sad and pathetic. Okay, so we need Kayla Harrison to go fucking roll her, and then, you know, maybe we can entice some somewhat exciting fights, because aside from her, bantamweight division for the women's division is essentially fucking dead. Okay, great performance by Kayla Harrison, good debut, as expected. You know, went exactly as I think most people thought it would. Moving up the card, to Calvin Kattar versus Aljamain Sterling. Now, it is funny to me that Aljamain Sterling was so hyped up, so amped up at the prospect of getting $300,000 for a bonus, right? And then he goes and does what he does. Okay. Now I understand that Calvin Kattar. I understand wanting to be safe against a guy like Calvin Kattar, I guess, right? Even though he's not like necessarily some one-punch KO dude, you know, despite what the broadcast team says. Like Joe Rogan said this on multiple occasions throughout their fight. It's not really the case, but hey, I just feel like Aljo could have done so much more. So much more. We don't have a single submission attempt. Do you know what I mean? It's just the significant strikes, 39 throughout the entire fight, and he absolutely and totally fucking dominated. Was able to take Calvin Kattar down easier than guys like Sabit were and shit like that. Now, I did not think Aljo would win this fight, so I'll give him credit. He did completely and totally stifle Calvin Kattar, right? And good on him for it. And I do appreciate even Dana White giving Aljo props. You know, anytime you move up a weight class, it's good to get a win, no matter how you do it. And, you know, I think the fact that it's getting kind of shit on was because it was on UFC 300. I think that's more or less what he said. And I guess that's kind of true. But I still think that Aljo could have gone for it a little bit more. I think it would have been much more impressive. I think he would have had much better opportunities moving forward in the featherweight division had he gone for it a little bit more. I mean, after Calvin Kattar became worried about the takedown and he had essentially stopped throwing punches at all, Aljamain Sterling was kind of beating him on the feet as well. So it was a good performance, but it was just like, you know, it was kind of a mood killer, dude. I'll be honest. It was kind of a mood killer, right? It was. But hey, dude, good win for Aljamain Sterling. Good debut into the featherweight division. He looked very strong and thick at featherweight. I thought that he would not have as much of a strength advantage because, you know, he's used to fighting guys quite a bit smaller than him. I thought that a lot of his game worked because of how big he was at bantamweight, but he seems to be very strong at featherweight as well, so good on him. Moving up the card, 2, Yuri Prochazka versus Alexander Rakic. This was a fucking phenomenal fight. Holy shit, okay? Now, I did pick Alexander Rakic to win, and I thought I was going to be right in the first round because Yuri Prochazka has no defense at all. No defense at all. None. And he didn't adjust any part of his game after getting his legs completely and totally chewed up, and then getting finished by Alex Pereira. We saw him getting his legs chewed up like crazy to the point where he was definitely having issues on that left leg. We saw him get cracked multiple times, unbelievably hard, that I think would have... Dude, honestly, I think that this is a testament to how hard Alex Pereira actually does hit, and I think that this win that Yuri Prochazka just got over Alexander Rakic makes Alex Pereira's win over him much more fucking impressive, because then, in round number 2, we have Yuri Prochazka go full autistic samurai mode, just disassociates himself from the pain, which autists can typically do, and just marches Rakic forward, makes it a crazy Yuri Prochazka fight, and fucking finishes him, dude, after getting the absolute shit beaten out of him in round number 1. Now, I felt like Rakic was the rational pick, okay? Aside from Glover Teixeira, Alexander Rakic has better names on his resume, right? And Yuri Prochazka almost lost that Glover fight. Alexander Rakic, technique for technique, I think is better than Yuri Prochazka everywhere. And I thought that he could have grappled had he gotten himself in trouble. That wasn't really the case. But, dude, the crazy autist samurai mode is, you can't overstate it. It is a real thing. And unless you're fighting literally like the best in the world. Do you know what I mean? So, yeah, fuck Christ, dude. I want to see Yuri Prochazka fight. Like now. He is so much fun to watch fight, dude. And thank God for him. Amazing contribution to the UFC. And wild comeback. I am glad that he got the performance of the night bonus. Although I did think that Diego Lopes kind of deserved one. I know Dana said he was going to go on and give a bunch of people, you know, other bonuses. Not necessarily the performance bonuses. But he was going to take care of them. So, yeah. Anyways, dude. Good on Yuri Prochazka. Holy shit. Moving up the card. 2, Bo Nickel versus Cody Brundage. Now, this one was almost another mood killer, but not necessarily. I think people are being way hypercritical of Bo Nickel, and I think that what we saw from Bo Nickel is what we should expect to see from a guy that's 5-0. I don't care how successful he was in wrestling. This is not wrestling. Do you know what I mean? You can't get kneed in the fucking chin on a takedown attempt in a collegiate wrestling match, right? Now, Cody Brundage is, you know, I picked Bo Nickel, obviously. Cody Brundage's fight IQ is not typically that great, and we've seen that countless times in the octagon, and yeah, I thought that, you know, we've seen Cedric Dumas beat the shit out of Cody Brundage. We've seen him get submitted on the ground multiple times. I thought Bo Nickel would have his way with him. I thought it would be easy, honestly. Now, it was not as easy as I thought it would be, and Bo Nickel did take some shots. There were moments, I don't know if I would call this a fraud check, okay? But I do think that Bo Nickel kind of exposed some of his own holes in this matchup, and I think that if he doesn't tighten some things up on the feet or even on his takedown attempts in certain moments, that a very good striker with some decent takedown defense will be able to fuck him up, I'll be honest. Do you know what I mean? I still like his chances against a lot of grappling type dudes, but this is what, you know, people... Trust me, I don't like Bo Nickel. Okay, I just don't. I think he's arrogant. I don't like that he thinks he can fuck up a chimpanzee. It drives me nuts. But I do think that the fan base is almost impossible to please when it comes to this guy. Because if we were to give Bo Nickel some, like, top 5 ranked opponent, people would be unbelievably irritated, and almost rightfully so. But then when we move him up the rankings slowly, the traditional way, like you got to fight your way up the rankings, people complain about it because we expect a lot more of him than we do from a guy like a Cody Brundage. But I think that he's moving along and progressing in his career at the rate that we should expect from a guy that's 5-0, despite whatever fucking credentials he has. I mean, listen, dude, they can't all be Alex Pereira, okay? Anyways, dude, good performance by Bo Nickel. He was pretty harsh on himself. I understand it. He seems to be kind of a perfectionist. And I mean, look, dude, you don't get a collegiate wrestling record like Bo Nickel without being hard on yourself. So, you know, credit to him. I don't think he should be that upset with himself. It was a good performance overall. He got the finish. Do you know what I mean? So, hey, good on him. Moving up the card, too. Oh, Charles Oliveira versus Bo Nickel. Charles Oliveira versus Arman Tsarukyan. My bad, dude. Anyways, let's get to this. Now, this was a split decision, and something I want to point out immediately. Adelaide Bird was judging this fight. She judged a couple of other fights, and I noticed her name getting read out earlier on in the night. But when I noticed her name for this one, I was unbelievably irritated. I do not understand how that woman is able to judge fights still to this day. We've seen her fuck up so many boxing fights that she has judged. So we throw her in the biggest event the UFC has ever had to date. Fucking mind-blowing to me. She should not be anywhere near a cage or a ring or anything. She should not be a judge. But either way, Arman Tsarukyan, okay, when the decision was getting read out and somebody scored it for Charles Oliveira, he fucking freaked out and was all like, what? And that, I think, is a perfect example of our judges in UFC or MMA in general are fucked, and they don't know the scoring criteria. The fact that Arman Tsarukyan could have been so confident that he won that fight clearly when all he essentially did, you know, especially in round 3, which is in my opinion, the swing round, was control, right? That is not supposed to count for shit if there is other effective grappling. When you have a grappling round and you don't have a lot of significant striking to score off of, if it's a primarily grappling round, you're not looking for control time. You're just not. But we'll get to that, dude. Round 1, Charles Oliveira almost had him out of there. Right quick. I did pick Charles Oliveira to get the job done by submission. I thought he would be able to do it. He almost fucking did it, right? That guillotine was unbelievably close. Unbelievably close. Very good round for Charles Oliveira. Good opening round. Now, credit to Arman Tsarukyan for staying calm and managing to get his way out of that guillotine. He did not do a fucking thing on top after the fact. So round 1 goes to Charles Oliveira, and I don't even think it's questionable. Round 2, in my opinion, goes to Arman Tsarukyan, and I don't think it's questionable. Charles Oliveira had a submission attempt, I believe at the, end of the round. I think it was an arm triangle. I could be wrong. Let's see. 4 sub attempts. I do believe it was an arm triangle at the end of the round, if I'm remembering correctly. But either way, dude. Arman Tsarukyan won round 2 clear, in my opinion. Lots of control times, but also the significant strike gap was large enough that it's clear. Arman Tsarukyan won that round. Not because he laid on top of Charles Oliveira for however long he did, but because he outstruck him significantly and actually did do some damage, right? Cut Charles Oliveira open and what have you. Did do good damage on the ground in round number 2. Round number 3. Now, the strike numbers here do not, this should not be the story. This was a primarily grappling round, right? They spent a lot of time on the ground. Arman Tsarukyan got a takedown. Charles Oliveira had 2 submission attempts. And I see a lot of people talking shit about that last one at the end of the bell, okay? People in my live chat, to be specific. Certain people in my live chat who kept claiming that was a guillotine. Now, I could be mistaken. I'm no fucking black belt in jiu-jitsu. That looked like a darce to me. Okay, that's 1. 2, I don't care if you don't think it was tight or what have you. He had 2 submission attempts in this round. Okay, Arman Tsarukyan did essentially nothing. These significant strikes were not much. These are little shots on the ground. Charles Oliveira was the one that was actively trying to finish the fight. He had 2 sequences that could have potentially led to a fight-ending sequence. Okay, that is what you were supposed to score in a grappling round, and it is very clear. And if you do not agree with me, or you think that I'm a fucking retard because Charles Oliveira can lay on top of Arman Tsarukyan can lay on top of Charles Oliveira and try to suck his dick for fucking 3 minutes, and that wins him a round, I urge you to go read the scoring criteria, please. Okay, damage, when you are scoring a round, damage is overall the top thing, right? Especially if it's a striking round. But damage is not necessarily just physical damage on the ground. They look for things like passing guard, advancing positions, and going for finishing sequences, of which Charles Oliveira did multiple times. And had there been more time left in round number 3, he could have rolled, turned that into an anaconda. He probably would have got Tsarukyan out of there. He knew he had short time. He had that choke in. You know, it was clearly a threat. Arman Tsarukyan was hanging in there, but it was, you know, he had it. Right, he had it. So he was the one that came close to finishing the fight, not Arman Tsarukyan. And in my opinion, that should give Charles Oliveira round number 3. Okay. Now, people are just going to cope and say that I'm a massive Charles fan or what have you. I'm not even that big of a Charles fan. I love watching him fucking fight. I do. Okay. But I just score fights as I see them. And him going for those submission attempts in round number 3 when Arman Tsarukyan essentially did nothing. These 18 significant strikes were not all that significant. He's not doing physical damage in round number 3. All the physical damage that Arman Tsarukyan caused was from round number 2. I thought Charles Oliveira won round number 3. So did one of the judges. It is what it is, dude. And then Arman Tsarukyan denies the title fight at the, you know, post UFC 300. And so now we get Islam Makhachev versus Dustin Poirier. So thank Arman Tsarukyan for that one. Anyways, dude, decent performance. The fact that he did, you know, have a super ultra competitive fight against Charles Oliveira is pretty impressive, considering we've seen, you know, Justin Gaethje, Dustin Poirier, Michael Chandler, Beneil Dariush, Tony Ferguson, like all these guys get absolutely just steamrolled by Charles Oliveira. It is impressive, but I did think that Oliveira should have got the nod. But regardless, dude, good performance. Moving up the card, 2, Justin Gaethje versus Max fucking Holloway. Holy shit, dude. Holy shit. What a fucking fight. Max Holloway, unbelievable performance. Just absolutely stunning. Very, very good footwork. That spinning back kick that broke Gaethje's nose in the first round changed, in my opinion, like the tone of this fight. Okay, he was already winning that round. He was outstriking Justin Gaethje by a pretty significant margin. But goddamn, dude, Gaethje, that is a pattern that they recognized. He curls up and dips down constantly, and he paid for it, dude. That kick would have gone to the body, right? But instead it broke his nose, and badly at that, right? But Max Holloway, what a fucking performance. And in that 5th and final round, dude, holy shit, what a moment. Ricardo Lamas type shit, except he actually flatlines the guy, and the guy that he flatlined was a way more dangerous dude to go stand in the center and trade with like that. Unbelievable. Max Holloway. Fucking crazy. I don't even know what else to say about this fight. Like, he looked phenomenal, right? He did get knocked down. I can't believe they did not credit Gaethje with a knockdown, but it is what it is. I think round 4 was the only round that he lost. Other than that, he won rounds 1 through 5, and just, dude, fucking slept him. Now, I do think there is something to be said, and I'm not trying to take away from Max's win. I do think that Justin Gaethje's chin is probably gone. Okay, and I think it was gone even before he got completely and totally slumped face first on the canvas, right? Almost every time, especially after that nose break, Holloway landed cleanly. You could see Gaethje's legs do a little bit of a chicken dance. Like, he got hurt a lot in this fight, and I don't think he was expecting that. And to be fair, I wasn't expecting that, okay? Max Holloway seems to have a newfound power. Maybe he's just sitting down on his punches a little bit more, or what have you, trying to create good optics for the judges, right? I don't know what it is, but holy shit. You know, it's 2 flatline KOs in a row. The zombie one was reasonable, right? When people point to the Korean Zombie as being an example of Max Holloway's power, I don't think it's necessarily all that representative, because the Korean Zombie at that point in his career had taken a ton of fucking damage, right? Ton of damage. And that was his retirement fight. He was being unbelievably reckless, and Holloway slept his ass. This was different, though. He hurt Justin Gaethje almost every time he fucking landed cleanly. His combinations were absolutely beautiful. He was able to slide in and out of the pocket like fucking butter, okay? Avoiding the vast majority of Justin Gaethje's offerings. Just a phenomenal fight. Phenomenal. Like, holy. And that moment that he created at the end is one of the greatest moments in UFC history of all time. You know, and I do, dude, it's hard not to like Max Holloway. I'm glad he got the double bonus. Okay. At the post-fight press conference, he keeps reiterating this. He said this in the cage in his post-fight interview, like immediately with Joe Rogan as well, that Gaethje deserves all the credit in the world because he had everything to lose. And he didn't need to take this fight, but he gave me a chance. And he said, and that's why in the last 10 seconds, he said, I know that if Justin Gaethje was winning that fight, he would give me that last 10-second chance. And he goes, I knew I was winning that fight. I wanted that last 10-second, or to give him that last 10-second chance. Jesus Christ, sorry. But then it turned out like that, dude. 4:59, round number 5. Slept Justin Gaethje worse than we have ever fucking seen him slept before. Unbelievable, dude. I'll be honest, dude. I'll eat my fucking words. I've got no problem admitting I was wrong. I hated the idea of Max Holloway going up to lightweight, simply because of that Dustin Poirier fight the initial time, right? He seemed to get wobbled all over the place. Couldn't really hang in terms of power or strength and what have you, but he looked a lot better for this one. Justin Gaethje's not the biggest lightweight, so it might have been a perfect matchup for his, second attempt at a lightweight run, but man. And I want to see him fight fucking everybody, dude. I want to see him fight everybody. Everybody. Fight Ilia Topuria. I wouldn't even mind watching him fight Islam Makhachev. He could do fuck. There's so many options. I don't even know, dude. Unbelievable from Max Holloway. Absolute gangster. Credit to him. Moving up the card, 2. Zhang Weili versus Yan Xiaonan. All right, dude. Now this was actually, I feel like this fight would have been a lot more well received had it not been for the fight previously. That place probably made everybody have a fucking huge adrenaline dump, honestly. Pardon me. I couldn't even yell at the end of that fight. I was just like, but either way, okay. Zhang Weili did very well, but there were moments, obviously, Yan Xiaonan had. Now, I thought, Zhang Weili, dude, I've never seen that before, where someone's asleep at the bell and the ref didn't immediately wave it off. She was able to get up and get back to her feet, and fucking credit to her, dude. That was actually amazing from Yan Xiaonan to be able to get up. But aside from those few moments on the feet, like, I would give, look at that, Yan Xiaonan won 1 round. She was competitive. She had moments in every single round, pardon me. But it was, I think people are exaggerating the closeness of this fight, and I feel like almost any other woman, that would have been like a first round submission. You know, there was even a moment where, and credit to Herzog for letting it go on, honestly. I feel like he made the right decisions there, but I think there's a lot of referees that probably would have stopped that fight due to a TKO. But I think this fight was a really good way to highlight where XIAONAN is where Zhang Weili is lacking in her striking. She is not that good of a striker anymore. And we used to think she was. I would assume because we saw her go 5 rounds with Joanna Jędrzejczyk, who is a crazy striker, but crazy good striker, pardon me. But Joanna Jędrzejczyk doesn't hit very hard. XIAONAN does, and I don't know, man. I think that fight clouded our understanding of Zhang Weili's striking abilities, because against Amanda Lemos she struggled. Obviously she got knocked out by Rose Namajunas, and in this one she looked completely and totally outmatched on the feet, and her corner kept trying to tell her, like, don't throw the leg kicks, you're getting fucking countered every time you do, and she kept doing it, and she would get countered on it, you know. And credit to XIAONAN, she had a good game plan, just wasn't able to get the job done. But it was a fun fight, you know, in terms of women's title fights. So hey, dude, good performance by Zhang Weili. And a good showing of XIAONAN, absolute savage, waking up from that choke, getting right back to it, you know what I mean? So, decent fight. Moving up the card to the main event. Alex Pereira versus Jamahal Hill. Goddamn, bro. I picked Alex Pereira to win by knockout. I did not think he would do it so fucking easily. One of the coolest moments, in my opinion, in UFC history, him telling Herb to kick rocks. And then you hear him speak at the post-fight press conference. And I said this in my live stream, and I said this in my picks video, that I don't think Alex Pereira gets enough credit for actually being intelligent in terms of, like, his fight IQ, you know, because he doesn't speak any English. We don't really get to hear him articulate himself that well. And he kind of just does the, sham, you know, over and over and over again. But at the post-fight press conference, he explained why he did that. And it was because he said, because Hill's a southpaw, right, it was harder for me to get my distance on him because different weapons are available, right? Usually that back leg outside calf kick that he would use off of his right leg is his, like, immediate rangefinder, and then obviously the jab to the body. Because Hill's a southpaw, it's a little bit different. They're fighting for outside foot position. He's still using the same shit, jab to the body, which is ultimately what set up the left hook, and then also he's using his front leg to throw a little bit of a switch kick, but his switch kick's different from everybody else's. I've never seen somebody's lead leg kick to an outside leg, right, like that, be that quick, and that he's so fucking good at kicking legs. But either way, dude, okay? He said that he had found the distance, and he knew that if he would have taken the time to recover from that low blow, that the distance would then be reset, and he would have to find it all over again, and he felt that he was in position to do exactly what the fuck he did. Do you know what I mean? So in a split-second decision, he tells Herb to kick rocks, because he knows he's got the range down, and then he goes and does what he does. Unbelievable, dude. I didn't think that it was going to be that easy. I thought Jamahal Hill would tag him a few more times than he did. He did land cleanly once. I believe it was a check right hook off of an Alex Pereira body jab, or maybe it was a leg kick, but that body jab, man, right from the first one he threw, a little over a minute in, Jamahal Hill's lead hand came all the way down over top of Alex Pereira's shoulder. He was trying to set up a counter of his own. He was trying to counter Alex Pereira's body jab with the straight left. He did it a couple times, but the hand would go down, right, to swat Alex Pereira's jab away, and then it would go back down to his hip for a second, and then he would bring it back up, which, against a guy like Alex Pereira, who is probably fucking pound for pound the combat sports GOAT, I don't give a fuck what any of you say, you can't leave that much of an opening, even if it is just a half a second. That's what he's looking for. He'll find it. Do you know what I mean? And he did just that. It was unbelievable performance from Alex Pereira, like his best performance to date, right? And against a guy that the odds were very close. A lot of people thought Jamahal Hill could knock him out, because to a lot of people, Alex Pereira looks chinny, okay? And I don't think he is. And I think that this now has proved it. He did take a good shot from Jamahal Hill. Also, the Yuri Prochazka fight, seeing what Yuri Prochazka did to fucking Alexander Rakic. Do you know what I mean? We see Alex Pereira get what looks to be wobbled sometimes. He is standing very straight up all the fucking time. I think that that's why. I don't think it's because he's getting rocked every time he gets touched. I think it's because of the way that he stands. When he gets hit, he might get off balance a little bit because he doesn't have a wide stance. That's it, dude. I mean, Jesus fucking Christ. 3 minutes, 14 seconds, just dispatched of him unbelievably easily. If this motherfucker turns around for UFC 301 in Brazil in just 3 weeks' time, I will do a full fucking live companion. I will paint my face the same way Alex Pereira does, and I will buy a native headdress, and I don't give a fuck if it's cultural appropriation. I'll wear that shit for the whole 6.5 hours, okay? Unbelievable performance from Alex Pereira. Defended his title, which he was not able to do at middleweight. This, in my opinion, cements him. And as I said, dude, I truly believe he's the combat sports GOAT. I don't give a fuck how many people that's going to piss off anyways, dude. Like and subscribe. I would greatly appreciate it. I will see you at the next video. Bye-bye.